looking at a very important subject. This is something that concerns a lot of us. I mean, in fact, I think most of us have had a very, you know, we've had a very painful experience at some point or the other. So we want to consider how to deal with a toxic boss. And I think this is going to interest a lot of us. So if you are joining in, I want you to pay attention, get your notes, and we are going to be picking up a few lessons here and there. So let's just hold on for a second and we'll get right into the training. All right. So if you are joining this stream, I want you to tell us, if you can, in a summary, if you have ever had an experience with a toxic line manager and how did you respond to it. Also, I want to quickly, so I'm just trying to push this right now so that I can just get straight into my training for today. It's going to be a very short one, hopefully. Okay, so if you're online, please just help me push this and share it online so we can get straight into our session for today. All right, before I begin to give you the tips on how to handle, a toxic boss, I want to firstly consider the making of a toxic leader. What makes or produces, what type of system produces a toxic leader? I find that almost everyone I've spoken to have, at one point or the other, experienced some level of toxicity from a line manager. And even though this sort of attitude or behavior does not model the value system of most organizations, but we find that these things continue to be there. Okay, so please, if you are writing, I want you to put this down. A toxic leader is never born. It is produced, toxicity is produced typically by a mix of personality structure, unhealed insecurities, organizational culture, and unchecked power. All right. So I need you to capture this, and you may need to go back and rewatch this video. Okay. So there are certain drivers that keep pushing the frontiers of toxicity in an organization. So I want us to look at what are those ingredients that are brought together that eventually produces a very toxic uh, leader, you know. And I hope you know, if it makes you happy, that toxic leader was first of all a toxic employee. The signs are always there. When you find someone that always curries up to a new employee at the office and he wants to give all the gist, he wants to update that new employee on everything everything and everyone. Oh, you need to be careful about this fellow, or you need to be careful about that fellow. Or if you find, now let me throw this one at you and you may not believe it. If you find someone that talks a lot without making any sense, it's a very strong trait of a possibly toxic leader. He may not even be a leader yet. There are people that want to say something and they just keep going on and they never get to it. So that could be a very strong indication. And you will find that in most of your supervisors who are toxic, a good number of them will have this, they just talk and talk, but they are never solution driven. All right. So the first core driver for a toxic leader is that they are usually laden with unresolved insecurity. At the root of many toxic leaders is deep insecurity, the fear of being exposed as incompetent. You see, this one is so, you'll see this one a lot. And I've seen this even at mid management, senior management level. Once there is a junior staff or an employee that seems to have it a bit more together, and you are not coring or flowing or being political, trying to curry the favor of this supervisor, you may begin to experience some level of toxicity from this person. Okay, so many of them are that way because they have unresolved insecurity. They don't want to be exposed as as incompetent people. The many of these also flowing from this unresolved conflict is what? The fear of losing your authority. We have seen situations in which line managers were, challenged in meetings by seemingly junior employees. So many times you find them, they have to become very brutal and very toxic because they don't want to be seen as losing authority. The third point, still under unresolved security, is the fear of being outperformed. You see, when you have an employee that is always doing very well, like anytime she opens her mouth or he opens his mouth to speak, there's always that breath of fresh air in the room. So when you have that type of person, you may want to, and that person is your subordinate staff. If you are not emotionally matured and put together, you may begin to deal with a level of insecurity. So control. So instead of, a lot of line managers, instead of developing competence, a lot of managers compensate with control, intimidation, and manipulation. All right. I remember when I first started working, you know, I was asked to learn, on my first desk, to learn from the folks who I was supposed to be supervising. But you see, they had a lot of banking experience in that unit. I was new. So, but I was their boss, but I didn't know anything. You see, so I had to, make friends with them. In fact, at some point, one of them said to me, you've not bought us lunch today. So I have to buy lunch for them. If not, as typically in my unit, you are going to run into a lot of hiccups and they will just ignore you. But I was supposed to be their supervisor. So what I did was that I just took my time, learned from them. I didn't hide the fact that I wasn't completely confident of myself or in myself. I just kept on learning. And a day came, my supervisor came and simply said, you don't have to understudy them anymore. Actually, you don't even need to do what they do. You are actually supposed to supervise what they do. And it so happened that before I left that unit, I even had the opportunity to now cross check their work and tell this person, look, you didn't do this right. You didn't do this right. But I got it from them. All right. So instead of developing competence, a lot of line managers will never own up and say, oh, I really don't know what I'm doing here. So they make up for it by trying to control the narrative. The second core driver that breeds insecure people or leaders is what I call power without accountability. When you are in a company or in an organization where you have someone there, a line manager, who does whatever he does, and it seems that there's nobody checking him. All right, it seems that there's nobody checking him. Then you now begin to see the making of another toxic leader. So what are we looking at here? So when authority increases but accountability does not, a toxic leader is born. Unchecked power will lead to entitlement, emotional impulsivity, disregard for impact. Okay? So organizations that reward results but ignore behavior often produce toxic leadership. Number three, and maybe I will just take this and then I will stop here. I have about 7 of these uh, for this particular point, but I'll just take this third one and then we'll move on to the next one. Scarcity mindset. Toxic leaders often operate from there isn't enough recognition. When you see someone that tries to take the glory or takes the, but he passes the blame in his department, somebody who hijacks your project or your contribution and presents it as his own. And when you challenge him, he will say, no, we are going in as a team. So it's not about who brought the idea. You see, those kind of people, they usually have what I call the scarcity mindset. Okay, so they are the kind of fellows who will tell you, "Oh, I'm not getting enough recognition from for what I'm doing." They try to present achievement of the team, which may be based on just one or two persons in that team, as a collective achievement, but they know that they didn't contribute anything. Uh, so scarcity mindset also means if you claim to be loyal to me, then you should be silent. When you observe something that is wrong, you are not really expected to say so much. These are the type of people who will expect you to look the other way as a sign of your loyalty to them. Okay? So when they see capable subordinates, they see them as threats, not assets. You see? So you also have trauma-based leadership and so on and so forth. Okay, but today the focus of our training is how to outsmart this type of people. Okay, I want to look at, if possible, I will consider at least 6 or 7 ways that we can deal with a difficult and uncompromising boss. All right, and I will also give you some examples of how you can respond to this. So the first point I want to look at here is number one, you need to diagnose the pattern, not just the personality. Most times, toxic leaders work in a particular way, they operate in a particular way. Is your boss a perfectionist? Is your boss fear driven? Is he control oriented? Is he result obsessed? Understanding their operating style allows you to anticipate their reactions instead of you reacting emotionally. So I'm asking you this question, and I want you to probably look backwards now and look at your supervisor or your MD CEO. Just ask yourself: is this person a perfectionist? A perfectionist? Is he a fear-driven person? I mean, I had a boss. Anytime he wanted us to do something, it would sound so fearful. I I used to. So one day I was talking to his colleague, and that one said to me, "Is your boss still always behaving as though the bank is about to collapse?" And I laughed. I didn't answer that question, but I laughed. So what you don't know is that when you are fear motivated or fear driven, everybody can tell. And please, you can go to the comment section, oh, because this one we are going to do it together. Okay? They are fear driven. So what if our supervisors come tomorrow? They are not going to be part of the solution, but they are going to throw it back to you. Control oriented. They want to see everything. If you spoke to a client or to a customer, they want you to come back to them and tell them everything. They want to check everything. They don't trust you. They want to see everything. They are control oriented and they are results obsessed. Now I want to give you this quote, and please, I beg you, write this down. Study is the system before you fight the system. Clarity reduces conflict. Study the system before fighting the system. Clarity will always reduce conflict. There are places you work and you realize that this is the way they behave. So you know that even if in the future they give you 100 million naira, you are not going to stay there for long. And if you find yourself in that kind of environment where they say, please, we want everybody to speak up, just tell us what you think we can improve, and then you speak up, then they come after you and bash you. I don't know if you are here, maybe you've ever had to give a suggestion after you were encouraged and then everybody came after you and you started regretting and asking yourself, why did I even speak up? You know? So you must understand the pattern, diagnose it. The moment you get a new job in the office, in a new office, even if you are still in that office right now, look at the system that runs there. Is it a man-o-man system? Is it a system that is built on merit? Does the system seem to favor certain people of certain types of disposition? So you might be dealing with a toxic leadership or toxic system. So the second point here is that you have to manage your supervisor strategically. Manage your supervisor strategically. If you find that you are always dealing with a supervisor that is very toxic, you probably will want to confirm his expectations in writing. Because one thing I've always observed is that a lot of supervisors lie and they deny a lot of the things they have said. They tell you, okay, you know what, prepare an invoice for client ABC, and then they tell you, you know what, leave what you are doing right at the moment and quickly do this other thing. And then the moment you start doing that thing, then something happens again, they gaslight you, they come back and they start screaming at you. But you said I should leave what I was doing. But you should have finished this one. So you want to if you find that you have a boss that always denies whatever he says, please try to confirm in writing, sending an email saying, okay, based on our engagement, this is what you have said. And he will respond and say, yes, thank you for this mail. Let's go ahead. If your boss is a sincere person, he won't mind that email. Okay. The second way to manage your supervisor, especially the very toxic one, is to clarify deadlines and deliverables. Sir, at the end of this process, I use this one a lot. I'll just say, okay, that's in my own words. Let me tell you what I think I've heard. Did I heard you say we need to do this and this, and the end point is that we want to achieve this? Am I right, sir? And then he says yes. Then I write it down. Because many times the way a lot of people speak, unfortunately, is not what they mean. And if you are someone that already feel that you know what a person is going to say, you are going to get into a lot of trouble. The truth of the matter is that you really don't know what anybody is going to say. You can only see the pattern. So it's okay for you to ask to clarify. The third way to manage a very toxic boss that will always gaslight you is to say, is to ask structured questions instead of vague ones. Don't say things like, okay, we will work around it and get back to you. No. You need to be able to say, especially around the key areas of his conversation, make sure that you are writing and asking yourself, if a neutral person picks my note, what will be their questions? If the client we are developing this product for picks up my note, what are the questions he will be asking? So you need to put yourself on the other side of the divide, and then you will find that you're able to ask one or two questions. Oh, maybe the product, or it may be about the product design, it may be about the timeline for the project, it may be about the team that is being put together for the project. You want to ask specific questions because toxic leadership normally thrives in ambiguity. Anywhere there is no clarity, you will find toxic leaders, trending there. So ambiguity breeds tension. Anytime there's no clarity, especially when everybody is waiting on you to deliver, you will find that you may be dealing with a toxic environment and a toxic leader. Precision, however, protects the professional. Number three, control emotional leakages. One of the ways that a toxic leader tries to manage his position is that they trigger ego battles. They will try to address you in a way that will trigger you. Maybe in a meeting or in front of your colleagues, they will say stuff to you that will make you feel small, or they'll try to make you feel small. All right. So the the essence is what they want to achieve is that they want you to react. They want you to react there and then. And when you do that, they trap you and they could accuse you of insubordination. So you need to understand the game. This is Machiavelli. All right. Difficult bosses usually trigger ego battles. Whenever you find that they are trying to provoke you or leaving the matter at hand and trying to address your personality, oh, you are grossly incompetent. I don't know what you are doing in my department. Oh, maybe I have to talk to HR. I can't work with you anymore. Blah, 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 blah. The first thing you need to do is not to react in those meetings. Don't react emotionally. If you really have to say something, you must be emotionally stable. You must maintain your composure. You see, there's something about your composure that disarms your enemy. They just find that you are not really triggered. You might be, quite angry, but you just hide it behind a calm face. They will know that this person is not saying anything, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have things to say. Also, your calmness will shift the power balance because you keep, yapping and yapping, and somebody is just staring at you and is not saying a word. Psychologically, what you are telling everybody is that you are the one in control of that room. Don't forget that they want you to say something so that you can justify the fact that you are who they say you are. Okay? But when you maintain your calmness, you shift the power balance. Please note this: the calmer person controls the room. Professionalism is equal to strength under pressure. Number four, how to deal with a toxic boss, or how to outsmart them, because a lot of them believe they are very smart. Build evidence, not argument. Build evidence and not argument. This one is like a bomb. Like if I had A drum roll now. I'll give a drum roll to this one. A lot of people have become victims of their supervisors, line managers, HR threw them under the bus because you kept talking, no email, no text messages, nothing. Let me tell you, you must understand the game of the corporate world. Whatever is not documented didn't happen. Whatever is not documented did not happen. All right. So you have to understand this game. Document document instructions, keep records of emails, approvals, changes in directives. I mean, this changes in directives is serious one, because many times your boss will just call you over the phone and say, you know what, we are going in a different direction, and he will never send you an email. And then something happens, it throws you under the bus, and you're like, oh my god, sir, but you told me this. He said, told you what? And I mean, some people are very good at, forgetting what they said. You know, so when you make sure you are a very documented person, I mean, I remember when we were, so we needed to get a new space somewhere in Benin City, and we wanted to rent an apartment or an auditorium, and the owner of the landlord is a young fellow, was just saying, okay, you know what, you need to pay some money, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I instructed our leader over there, and I said, look, ask for this, ask for that, ask for this, ask for that. Whatever this man is saying to you, let him document it. So, okay, you know what? You guys need to fix, you need to reconnect the electricity. You need to do this and do that. I'm going to refund the balance later in the future. Or you know what? Take it out of your rent. Please, could you document it? So we had to do the typing ourselves. We made him read it, and he signed it. After signing like 2 or 3 documents, he just raised his head up and say, it's like you, these people, you are people of paper, oh, like you like everything in black and white. And we said yes. Why? Because we already heard the former tenant in that facility was a victim. They threw him out unceremoniously because there was no document. All he knew was that he had paid for the facility. By the time they wanted to throw him out, it became a problem. All right. So, what am I saying to you? When you are dealing with people of this type of nature, please always document emails, approvals, changes in directions, counter instructions, because documentation always defeats distortion. Documentation always defeats distortion. Some of the issues that a lot of good people, some of you are listening to me right now, you have experienced was because somebody said something to you, but there was no evidence. And like I said to you, and I have it here as one of my quotes, if it is not written, it didn't happen. Number 5, if you want to deal with a toxic leader, align with their goals. Now, this one may surprise you. Uncompromising bosses usually care deeply about targets, revenue, risk control, reputation. Uncompromising bosses usually care about targets, revenue, risk control, and reputation. Always frame your ideas in terms of what matters to them. Stop going to your bosses and saying, oh, in my former company. I mean, so I know someone who kept saying, I just told the person, you know what, you need to stop talking right now. Okay? You are no more in that, whatever. You are no more in that. This is not GT Bank. This is Oceanic Bank. This is wherever. You know, for whatever reason, you resigned and left the place. You know, speak the language of your uncompromising boss. Don't speak their frustration. Don't speak your own frustration. Speak their language. If this person is always target driven, don't go to him or her without having figures. If this person is always looking at the risk aspect of a particular project, don't say everything without talking about risk controls. Please, you must understand that influence always follows alignment. When a person always tallies with a supervisor or you better their ideas, when they need to maybe choose a team lead or something for one of the projects, he will be too happy to work with you because he knows you understand him. Number six, now hear this Machiavellian one. You are going to like this one. If you are dealing with a boss who is so difficult that even the devil is amazed, then you must build internal allies. You must build internal allies. This whole, attitude of I just go to work, I say my prayers, I do my job, I'm not interested in anything, I'm not talking to anybody, I eat my lunch alone, I'm very serious, I want people to respect me. The day you are going to get into trouble, sometimes it's not really about the policies, it's usually about the people who have interest in you. When you go for a DC case, there might be somebody there who likes you or who knows you or sees you as a respectable person, or who enjoys chatting with you. The person may decide to downplay the impact of your offense and just say, well, I think this person is actually a very good person. I think she just made a mistake. All right. But if you don't have any allies, if you don't have anyone, for instance, maybe you are not a friend to someone that your boss is a friend to, then you are going to be a victim. Create strong relationships across department. Don't just say, I'm in legal, I'm in the legal team, this is what I do, A B C D E F G H I B. Look, make friends in the operations team, make friends in the dealership, make friends in the technical team, make friends in IT, make friends in internal control, make friends in audit, make friends in the MD's office. By the time that man tries to go behind you to destroy your name, he will meet people that love you. When you are without allies, you are a weak king. You may be a very powerful king, but many times we have seen powerful kings who were attacked and they didn't survive because they had no allies. I want you to put this down. No one survives corporate pressure alone. No one survives corporate pressure alone. You will always need your buddies, your team, your friends within the organization. When your boss sees that you have a very strong network, he will either have to calm down or adjust. But when they find that you are alone, they will shred you to pieces. The corporate world has no place for weaklings. Please hear what I'm telling you. The corporate world has no place for weaklings. This is very important. Number seven, when dealing with a toxic boss or a difficult line manager, you must know when to escalate or when to exit. And now somebody is listening. You must know when to escalate or when to exit. A lot of very good people have become victims. They were disgraced out of their office because they kept quiet. Please permit me to tell you that your line manager is also an employee. Your line manager is also fighting for his next promotion. Your line manager doesn't really care about you. Please understand and let it sink deeply. If there is abuse, if there is ethical compromise, if there is chronic sabotage, then escalate formally or prepare your exit. Let me repeat. If you find that there is emotional abuse or abuse of power, or someone is compromising ethically, there's ethical compromise, chronic sabotage. Maybe your supervisor always takes out the diesel fuel, liaises with the security agents, and he sells them off, and they make some money. You've seen it. This is sabotage. This is compromise. But you're a lady. If you talk, they will come after you. So what do? Escalate formally. Please remember, nobody is that big. Oh. I was telling my wife, like one of my supervisors, when I started working the bank, uh, two of them. So the person, they recently celebrated their birthdays, and when I looked at the age, then I calculated my age 17 years ago, 17 or 18 years ago, when I started my corporate career. And then I realized that, oh my goodness, this, when I got into the office, I used to look at these two supervisors like they were very matured and very old, like they were very old people. You know what I'm saying? Huh. I realized that one of them was 34 years. The other was maybe like 35, maybe 35 or 36. So, like, I know people in my circle right now, young fellows who are like 32, 33, 34 years right now. And they're out there, hustling and trying to get everything together. So I now realize that, oh my goodness, all that time that these people were actually young people, though, like they had nursing children. They had, sorry, I say nursing children. They were nursing mothers. They had babies, you know, because I remember we used to go. I used to visit them when they had babies. Like these people were really young. I did, hey, you know, oh my goodness, these people are really young. Oh, it just hit me like, oh my goodness. So you don't be scared of, especially if you know that what they are doing is plain out fraud. You don't have to be afraid of escalating. Of course, if you are doing that, you should have your evidence. Now, put this down in your notes if you are writing. Staying in a damaging environment without a plan is not loyalty, it is self neglect. You know that this particular office, anytime you go in every morning, you battle depression, you are never happy, they talk down on you, but you can't do nothing because of the salary and you need the money and all of that. Let me tell you, staying in a damaging environment without a plan, and emphasis on without a plan, all right? It is not loyalty. You are not loyal to the system. You don't actually respect yourself. Endurance without strategy is self damage. Sometimes growth requires relocation. There are people that will never know your value until you leave. Now, let me quickly take a few scenarios, and then I will also tell you a bad way to respond to the scenario and probably what you should have done. Your boss sharply criticizes your presentation in the presence of other executives, and he says, "This is unacceptable. Did you even review this before submitting it?" You feel highly embarrassed, and the room goes silent. Let me tell you a very bad way to respond. Number one, you argue emotionally in that meeting. This is not fair. You didn't even give me clear instructions. No, that's the way children talk. Number two, you shut down completely. You go silent and you refuse to engage. You see how a lot of people innocently destroy themselves career wise. Number three, you decide to retaliate through gossip, undermining your boss to other colleagues. This happens uh, after close of business. You know, I see that a lot. Like maybe I'm driving through traffic after 5 p.m. You see these two ladies, and like they're just standing by the road. You can tell from their dressing that, oh, maybe they are bankers or they are corporate. They're just coming from the office. And you see someone is always talking and shaking her head and pointing her finger, and the other one folds her hands and says yes, 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 yes. So that yes, yes is that keep talking. So you or maybe it happens in the kitchenette. You go for lunch and you begin to say something like, nobody can frustrate me in this office. I know my worth. I was invited by Oil and Gas ABC. I turned it down because of my vision. I came here. I don't care who anybody is. You are just reacting to, you say, I don't care who anybody, but everybody knows who anybody is. The anybody is the supervisor that embarrassed you. So and people will be eating around you and say, yes, yes, don't take it. Don't take that nonsense. You have to speak up. You have to fight for a right. You tried now. When they now want you to speak more, they'll start telling you, but you tried though. That presentation was not bad. Hey, you feel that? You see now? That man hates me. These are three bad ways to respond. Let me give you three proper responses. Number one, stay composed, respond calmly. Thank you for the feedback. Could you please clarify which section requires adjustment? One thing you need to know about toxic bosses is that they usually don't pay attention to detail. The moment they saw you, they were ready to go after you, go for the jugular in that meeting. It's like a jugular situation. They give it to you here, because for whatever reason they've already determined you are not competent. So, but when they give you that feedback, then you can put it back to and say, thank you, sir, for the feedback. Please clarify which sections of this presentation uh, is not clear enough or requires adjustment. So what that does to him is he will now have to either look back at everything, because which shows he's not paying attention. But if he dare says everything, then you know that this one actually came for you. It wasn't about your presentation. He just had it for you. All right. Or another strategy you could use in this scenario is to request a follow-up meeting. So you send an email. So you see, the rule of thumb is that you must not lose your cool. You might be very angry. In fact, I think in some cases where people have handled this thing properly, they first went to the restroom to cry. You cry, then come out, wear your makeup or put on a smile. And the mistake you want to make is, maybe if his office is in a corner where he sees you going and coming, you now walk as if you don't give a hoot, you don't give 2 cents about what anybody. The moment he sees you walking like that, he knows that he already has you. So you can request a follow-up meeting and send an email saying, I will appreciate 15 minutes to align expectations so that I can improve this. Don't let them dictate the pace and the tone of that narrative. You be the better person by setting the tone. You can say, sir, I'd like to have a 15 minutes meeting with you today or tomorrow so we can align what I've done previously with your own expectations. So if he's unable to now clarify what he wants, then that means he's a problem. Then you can also do another one by sending a recap email. You can say something like, as per today's meeting, I will revise the financial projections and resubmit by 3 p.m. I will also ensure that um, I provide clearer figures or strategies to this point I had mentioned and that other point I had mentioned. So be specific. They want to play the generic game. Don't let them do it. The moment your boss or toxic manager realizes that you don't even own your work, it will not spare you. So you sending emails like this or requesting for a follow-up meeting or asking for specific feedback, direct feedback, and when you are giving a feedback, you just say, oh, thank you for this feedback, and you start writing. You see, just write it, just write, pick your pen and write. Writing shows that you are serious. So doing this demonstrates accountability and it protects your credibility. You need to understand this because everything about your career is will either fall into accountability or credibility. Accountability, is more like she's good at what she does. He's good at what he does. Credibility means her character matches her skill. When you see her, what you see is what you get as far as that job is concerned. So please don't forget, having a putting forward a calm narrative always rewrites the conversation. You protect your reputation one response at a time. Let me give you scenario two. You have an impossible deadline with an aggressive tone. Your boss says to you, I need this 40-page report by tomorrow morning. No excuses. All right? No excuses. You know, you know it realistically takes maybe about 3 days to produce that particular report. But your boss tells you, I need it tomorrow. Maybe he's trying to punish you. So emotional tension will rise. Fear, anger, frustration. I mean, personally, I think sometimes there were some of those dangerous deadlines that just makes you even become unproductive. You are not even able to like function properly because this thing is just unrealistic. I mean, we didn't even have ChatGPT in those days. So let me tell you a bad way to respond. That's impossible, sir. Sir, this is not possible. I have to be very honest. No, 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 sir. Uh-uh. See the way your boss is looking at you. Say that's impossible, sir. Nobody can. Nobody can. Even if a ninja comes down, he cannot give you 40 pages in overnight. Sir, it's 5 p.m. What? It's impossible. You will know what is possible by the time you get your query. Let me give you another bad way to respond. You agree resentfully and you still miss the deadline. You agree resentfully. Well, if that's what you want, I know this is not feasible. I don't know what's going on in this organization. We always go for last minute deadlines. How many of you work in places where your deadlines are always last minute? Everything's happening last minute. The client needs to be reached last minute. The client wants it now. Huh? Ah. So you get angry and you still accept the job and then you still miss the deadline. Number three, you can decide to work overnight quietly and suffer burnout. Hear me and write this down. Silence under pressure is not strength. If you hear me now, I want you to write this down. Silence, being silent when you are going through a lot of pressure, is not a sign of strength. Oh. Over promising is career self sabotage. All right. Over promising is career self sabotage. When your boss says, "Oh, I need this thing," to say, "Yes, sir." You, in fact, you get it in 5 minutes. And then your boss thinks you are a serious person. Then in 2 days, he's not seeing your email. He says, "Where is that over promiser? The one that always says you are going to get the report right now." And yeah, someone is saying fire brigade approach. Exactly. So let me tell you the proper way to answer this type of, or to attend to this type of impossible deadline situation. Number one, you should be able to offer structured alternatives. You see, one thing you must never lose is the idea of selling yourself to your bosses as a performer with realistic deadlines. They should know the type of person you are, that if they want you to get this job done, you are going to get it done, but within realistic deadlines. All right. So you need to be able to offer a structured alternative. Okay, sir, I can deliver an executive summary of this report by tomorrow, and the full report will be out on Thursday. How does that sound? Somebody says to you, "I need these 40 pages out," and you said to the person, "I can give you a summary of the report on this project um, tomorrow, but you get a full report on Thursday, maybe like 3 days time." Okay, so that kind of, okay, this is an alternative. Another response is you want to clarify, another strategy is to clarify priorities. So you can say to your boss, "Okay, I'm going to focus on this new assignment, but I want to ask, should this take priority over the compliance report I was working on?" Or maybe your supervisor already gave you maybe there's like an end of month report you normally would work on, and they're asking you to get this one ready tomorrow evening. So, "Sir, okay, I'm going to prioritize this, but can I put this one aside in the meanwhile, in the meantime? Or maybe you can take this other report and give it to Michael or Linda to work on them while I focus on this new assignment." Okay, don't just take everything on your head and collapse. Learn how to clarify what is priority and let your supervisor make that decision. If your supervisor was trying to bully you or is a kind of toxic person, you have put him in a tight position now. It's either he tells you, uh, focus on the new project, then continue the other one when you are done, or he will have to lighten your burden, but you cannot have both. Uh, so put this down with your note. As an employee, you are to negotiate scope, not stress. On your job, you are to negotiate the scope of the work, not stress. If they want you to do something, you have to be emotionally healthy enough to do it. Negotiate the scope of the work, not your stress. This is very important. Number two is that boundaries always build respect. You must understand this. Boundaries always build respect. So, finally, handling a toxic, a difficult supervisor or boss is not just a challenge, it is an advanced leadership training. And I want you to let that sink. Why do you think that when an organization is recruiting an executive management position, they are willing to pay them extremely well, and they are not doing the job. They they have a team of people who are actually going to do the job, but they know that the strength of that team would depend on the kind of manager or executive manager that they have. Why do you think they pay that person? I mean, the technical person in that team may be earning, let's say, $150,000 per annum, or maybe even 250. But the boss, the supervisor, may be earning 500,000, and the supervisor is not even the one doing the job. Why do you think that is the case? Because everything rises and falls on leadership. So the ability to manage a toxic boss is an advanced leadership course. Once you pass it and you have mastered it, you have become a management material. Once you master it, you have become a management material. That means you can be promoted to higher levels. So, what are we talking about here? You have to learn emotional regulation, strategic communication, boundary setting, documentation disciplines. A lot of us don't like to write or like to type. So if once they know that is your weakness, they will come in through that place. You will become almost unshakable in in any and every corporate environment. If you master these 4 items I just mentioned: emotional regulation, strategic communication, boundary settings, and documentation discipline, nobody will be able to shake you off, because they know they will have to go the extra mile to catch you in a mistake. Here are my final quotes for us tonight. Pressure reveals your professional maturity. That's number one. Number two, master yourself and no manager will destabilize you. Master yourself and no manager will destabilize you. Now, I want you to seriously consider these warning signs, and I want you to ask yourself, do I need to start looking for another job? Is my supervisor a toxic person? There are toxic leaders who organize trainings in HR, and they talk about how leaders should manage their team, listen to their staff, support them, be there for them, have emotional capital or emotional investment, but they themselves never give it. So your supervisor may actually be gaslighting you right now, and you may not know. Your supervisor may be a victim of the same thing she's doing to you right now. But you be the smarter person. And already you are the smarter person because you are listening to me right now talking to you. So I want you to go back and listen again to this video and get your notes in your own words and fine-tune your strategy. If you are listening to me for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We put up videos every now and then on matters that deal with the employee, your career path, and how you can scale. I look forward to seeing you again next time when we gather, and I hope this webinar today presents you with a new perspective. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I'll see you again.